All right, Coach. Again, welcome back to the podcast, obviously, for week 3.
Thanks, TJ. Jack, good to be with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Big time week this week. You guys open up against William Jewell. It's the GLVC opener, and it should be a fun one at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the start of the seasons, there's always a bunch of new. You know, it's first game, first home game, first conference game, so another opportunity to start fast in now conference play. So exciting week.
We go back to last week. Obviously, a heartbreaker.
I don't want to go back to last week, but I know we got to talk about it.
I mean, obviously, a fantastic football game by anybody. If you're neutral and you're not a fan, it's a fantastic football game.
Yeah.
Midwestern, not a patsy team. 16th overall, ranked in D2, and you guys go down 14-0 early, and it's like, okay, where's the defense? Are we going to see them step up? Defense came out flying, especially after those first 2 touchdowns. Had 5 straight punts. And the energy on the team was fantastic. Unfortunately, at the end, just didn't go your guys' way on a turnover. What were your thoughts on the game overall?
Well, the thoughts on the game are everything comes down to the little things, and that's one of our pillars. We stress it all the time, and it's the game comes down to 5 missed tackles on one play, and 50-yard touchdown run went from a no-yard gain to a 51-yard touchdown. Just 5 missed tackles, coming in with shoulders instead of wrapping up. That could be fixable quickly. Even not getting the laces out on a field goal. That affects the kicker. Not getting the snapped when it was supposed to. Every one of 3 or 4 of those things were the deciding factor in that game. Not starting fast. We talk about all week. If we win the toss and we defer defense, you got to get a 3 and out. You got to get a stop, hold them to a chance to block field goal, and go. Another week where we gave up 7 points right off the bat. Mainly just because for some reason we're not. I don't know if we're filling things out or what, but you got to be ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Four components that are little things that lost us the football game. We put that team on our schedule on purpose. This was a team that was having a hard time getting somebody to play them because sometimes you want to, if you have a non-conference game, you want to make sure that you play a team that you feel like you can win. And why add a great team? We have to get our mindset to where we're playing ranked teams, we're beating ranked teams. I think that's what's so frustrating is we lost that game more than they beat us. And sometimes that's like, well, you're not giving credit to their team. No, they're a good football team, but when you watch the film and realize we lost that game. We had it. We should win those. And now we're just going to learn from it, and we got a lot to learn from because we found a lot of things out about our team and even as coaches that we can fix. And I think at the end of the day, I've never liked saying this, but sometimes a loss like that can be the best thing. It sharpened us up even as coaches on a lot of things that we discovered.
Yeah, and I was going to kind of bring it back to the podcast last week. You mentioned how after the week 1 performance, you guys obviously lost, but you felt like your team, you feel like you didn't want the players to feel like, oh, we're good enough to come out week 2 against Midwestern State, be good. What was the preparation like going into the Midwestern State game? Because you mentioned in the post game that this is one of your worst practice weeks you've seen in a while, especially that Tuesday practice. So I just want to kind of get a glimpse of what happened during that week.
Just mentally, we didn't overcome. Mm-hmm. We didn't overcome the heat. There's heat indexes, and sometimes you got to run in the locker room and change and put shorts on instead because you're following these, little distractions like that are going to happen in a game. We didn't overcome some of those things. It was like, well, we got to stop practice, go in and change, come back out. These are all great models to prepare for games. Mm-hmm. That's what I told our team. Things are going to happen in a football game that are unexpected. So, heat was an issue last week. The heat index. We would stay out there and practice, but there's rules and you got to go in. So, how do you overcome that stuff? Do you start fast on a Tuesday? And we didn't. We did exactly what our fear was because it even came from our captains' warnings from coaches. And hey, just because you played an FCS team very well. We talked all about not being complacent. Hey, we haven't done anything yet. We're 0-1. Mm-hmm. Why would we ever think that we're somebody's going to lay down for us? We didn't. I think we actually felt there was a conglomerate of our team that felt like, we'll be all right. We played really well, and I think we can beat this D2 team. And and that's a product of starting slow and be like, oh no, we are going to have to fight back.
How did the team react? After the game, obviously frustrating, but going into practice, like you said, it's all about how you react and how you kind of bounce back from that. So tell me how the team's reaction was, after the game and how they performed in practice the last few days.
It was just a different post-game speech than I usually give. Because I know when I first got here, we knew the team where our team was and what we had to overcome. And so I think the first 2 years we knew that we had to get our kids to believe they can win. And so last year we had a lot of games where we almost won, but what we were proud of is they overcame a hurdle where they didn't fall apart when things went bad. I said this year that's unacceptable now. Mm-hmm. I mean, and so the speech isn't. I'm not going to stand up here and give you, moral victory speeches because of your effort. We've already established in Eastern Washington and even Saturday that we will fight back. We're not going to quit. That box has been checked. We have to have a mindset that when somebody comes in, and the other thing is when do we start taking pride in the fact that we do not lose at home? Mm-hmm. This is our home territory. That's a tradition that we said we wanted to start this year. That when you come to Hunter, you don't win the opposing team. I mean, they come in and go, man, we got to go play there. Those are things that So those are all things where it just means there's some immaturity on our team. Mm-hmm. We do have a bunch of kids that only played their second football game. I get that, but we because if you have half your team that's mentally prepared, the other half just is kind of like, let's wait and see. That's not going to be, you're only weak as your weakest link, and that's kind of where we were last week.
Speaking of like overcoming obstacles, we know what happened with Cade Brister. Last play of the game, he fumbled, and then there was the big fumble in the third quarter in your guys in their red zone. I kind of just want to talk about has his approach been this week? Like, have you noticed anything specifically with Cade? Has he changed up anything? What have you seen so far this week?
No, he's back on track. I mean, he wore that pretty heavy Saturday night and Sunday. Yeah. We don't meet with them on Sunday, but I have a different position group over in my house on Sunday nights, and quarterbacks, linebackers came over on Sunday night, so we had a chance to talk, and he was still wearing it pretty heavy because Cade's a competitor. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have been in that game without Cade. His competitiveness, when we needed a spark, we started putting some quarterback runs on because we knew that he's gonna get some things going, and so to have it in that way for him is tough because and he gave you the exact answer that I knew he would. He says it's no excuse, coach, even though I appreciate that, but I can't fumble there, and he's right, but that's football. But we should have. We should have been going into overtime because of a mental error there, and we should have been going. We shouldn't be down 7 points because just off of a tackle. So there's a lot of things. That's always the one that gets glorified because it's the last mistake of the game.
He seems like a guy, though. I mean, a lot of guys probably on the team as well, but Cade especially is a guy that he's going to wear it because he's a competitor, like you said, and a leader. However, he's a guy that would get past it, will bounce back, and I could imagine having a huge week this week, which, by the way, last week he had an amazing game and had a couple mistakes and unfortunately just happened at the wrong time, but he's a competitor.
Absolutely. And we echo one of the biggest little phrases on our team is what WIN stands for is what's important now. And so we have to, including us coaches, because we can mope around and still have long faces, and we do the same thing. We've got to bring the energy on Tuesday in practice and start a new week. So that starts with us. Is how is our energy at practice? And I thought we had a good practice yesterday. We flipped some of the script a little bit. We started with competition right at the start of practice to get a start fast mentality. We're going to do it again today. We're going to do it again Thursday. So they're competing for consequences. If you don't want to do a little extra running, you better win the period. So it's triggered a little bit of that start fast mentality right out of stretch to hopefully transfers over to the field Saturday.
So moving on to this week, like we mentioned, you guys open up against William Jewell in the conference season. The guys are hungry. They're looking for their first win here at Hunter. What do you expect from your team coming out, and what do you expect from them?
Well, we kind of coined and took something from a longtime coach back in my hometown in Greeley, Colorado. Mick Holmes, great friend of mine, was a great coach, and one of his players on our team, Caleb Ruhweiler, mentioned a comment, said, it's not about our next opponent who we play. If we start looking at records and what they do last year and all these things, you can start falling in the same trap of, I think we should win. And Mick's whole thing was, and like Caleb said, was when we were in high school, because they won a lot of state championships, and said when we were in high school, we prepared each week for the best, as if we were playing the best team in the state, because that's at the end, that's where we want to be.
Right.
So we got to prepare as if, like, hey, the team that we're going to meet in the championship, how they're playing, because if we don't win, we're not going to be there. I thought it was great. I think our kids resonated with that, to not look at, you can fall into those traps. If there's a couple of linemen that don't look good on film, and you think, well, but man, if you don't think they want to come in here and upset, or not say upset, beat Lindenwood at home, then we better be careful, because they're gonna play their best game against us.
Going kind of into the stats, they're averaging over 156 yards on the ground per game, but they're more of a passing team, 250 yards through the air. It's sort of balanced, I guess you could say. What do you see from them on offense that really kind of, you focus on the defensive side this week?
I saw 21 points in the first half against a really good West Texas A&M team. I mean, they're West Texas is a very good football team, and at halftime they're up 21-14. So, what I saw is, again, a team that's going to come out and now they've kind of established that, their coaches are telling them all week, hey, Lindenwood doesn't start fast. We got to get on them early.
Right.
And so, we've opened ourselves up to that a little bit. So I know their head coach. I've known him a long time, back in my days, in my early days of coaching at in the same conference as William Jewell, and even known him past the football field. Good guy. Is a very, very good coach, a very good, big into technique and fundamentals and things like that. So they're going to be very well coached, and so we got to be ready to start fast.
Again, also, I would say, the one big hole that they have on defense is the fact that they give up a lot of rushing yards. I mean, you guys, we've talked about, have been focused a lot trying to run first. Cade had over 90 yards rushing last week. Nash over 50 and getting him going a little bit. But mainly you guys have relied on the passing game. I mean, Cade's been fantastic so far through the air. However, in this game, a team that is giving up almost 190 yards on the ground per game to two teams. What are some offensive keys you want to see this week with your rushing game for sure?
Well, they're going to run a different scheme than we've seen the last couple of weeks, and with a three-man front, I mean, that's always a different look. You've had you think of the little things. Your center hasn't been covered up for 2 games. Now this week he's going to be covered up, so it proposes other things, even from starting at the snap and exchange, and so you have to learn. That's why you're a little patient in Tuesday's practices when you're seeing a different scheme. They move a lot, slant a lot, and so we got to be patient through practice of saying, okay, we're getting these new looks, and I think we still, there's 2 models. You can set up the run by the pass, or you can set up the pass by the run. I think we're still trying to figure out. We've asked our offense, you guys have to dictate to us what do you want to be known for? Are we setting up the pass through our run game? That's how we always feel as coaches. This staff that I've been with for so long, we always established a very good run game, and that opened up our explosive offense. And right now we're still trying to kind of figure out the identity that this offense wants to have. And it starts up with challenging the troop up front. Are you guys going to knock people off the ball? Do you want to be known as a team that can run the football? So we're going to stay with that a little bit, not because it's William Jewell and what they're doing on stats. I mean, I think that's week in and week out. It's an attitude and coming out and saying, hey, we want to attack, and because we as coaches are going to say, okay, well, this is what we're doing well right now, and this is what we're going to go with. So and the game plan's still being set for that, and so we'll see on Saturday how we start off with that mindset.
The weapons alone make you guys an explosive offense, but we mentioned when you guys get the run game going, I mean, it's almost unstoppable because of the receivers you also have when you do want to go play action. I mean, Najee Jackson has been a guy that's really stepped up this year. We expected that. Peyton Rose now leading the team in touchdowns. Hinneman, obviously, he can't be guarded. He's unbelievable. There's just so many different guys that can do things just in the passing game. But then when you guys get the rushing game going, Brister does his thing, Nash kind of breaks out. It's an offense I don't even know how you defend, to be honest.
Well, and historically that's kind of how it's been. I'm kind of going back a few years because it's the same group of coaches, so I know our mentality. We've been doing this for going on 10 years as a staff offensively. So it's a fun offense when those things are clicking. That's why I've kind of been challenging the offensive line to say, if you guys truly understand how fun this can even be. I know the yards that we're getting right now, but man, there was times where, I remember we were rushing, we were leading the country rushing the ball for 300 yards a game. That's an O-line's dream.
Sure.
Man, geez, this is how I play football. They'd rather run block than pass block. That's the fun part, firing off. And so we just got to get our mindset flipped. It's there. I think it's just playing in some more confidence, not, just go do your assignments and do it the best of your ability. You're going to make a mistake now and then, not play so guarded, because we've got the players that can do it.
Yeah, and I was just going to talk about last year. I know you had Cam Sanders in the offense as well with Nash, and that was kind of a good 1-2 punch you guys had. I just want to know how Nash has kind of approached the number one role this year. I know that he's kind of gotten off to kind of a slow start, but I was just curious how he's kind of handled that and how he's going to get going in the meantime.
Well, number one, I think part of the strategy was, we've. I don't know if it's Nash has been off to a slow start is number two things. I think it can't dictate who you play, but the reality is we've played two really good defensive fronts in Eastern Washington and Midwestern. I mean, they're very solid up front in their front seven, and that's part of the strategy to say, hey, if you're going to be a national contender, these are the types of defenses we're going to face.
Right.
So our offense has had back-to-back weeks as far as O-line, because their pass protection's actually been very good. We had some sacks at Eastern, but for the most part, doing pretty good. We didn't get a blitz picked up in the game that caused the sack, fumble or interception, but for the most part, I think Nash is one of those guys. If the holes are there, he'll find them. And sometimes the run game's a rhythm thing. I think that's the other thing. Is I know Dusty really talked a lot about. We had to change up some things quickly Saturday, because when you fall down 14-0, we're willing to be a little patient to kind of get things going. I think some people feel like, well, we're really conservative when we start games or whatever. But it's funny, if you start the first playoff, with 5 yards and it's 2nd and 5. But if you start off with a negative play and you throw a swing pass and they hit you on a big hit, now you're 3rd and 10, and it looks like you've started conservatively. It's supposed to, every play is supposed to go for a touchdown on the board, right?
Right.
So,
wish it would work out that way.
Right. Yeah, it'd be a pretty boring game though. Yeah.
Right. High scoring game. Coach Stugart joins us on In Depth with Lindenwood Athletics. Coach, before we let you go, your thoughts on the crowd? I mean, we talk about the game, and I know you're focused on that, but walking out, Hunter Stadium was popping 6 p.m. last week. You got another night game against now a opener for the conference matchups. What were your thoughts on the crowd?
I was humbled by the crowd. I mean, I just loved it. I mean, I was so to turn around and see that many people there, and of course it was a nail biter game, and staying to the end. The encouragement and the involvement, you could hear them. So just kudos to our crowd, and we felt very supportive. I know as crowd members and fans, I know you guys, we want to win as bad as you do. And so it's always disappointing as a head coach when you see that kind of crowd and involvement. We want to bring wins to our fans, and we're working hard to get there, and it's a team effort, and that goes from our cheerleaders to, their involvement to the crowd, and just you could hear them, and we're most grateful for that, and hope they come out again Saturday night. It'll be another fun atmosphere, and now it's conference game. It's going to be just as exciting.
For sure. Lions open up the conference schedule against William Jewell. The Cardinals come to town 7 p.m. on Saturday, September 21st. Again, in the conference opener at Hunter Stadium. If you can't make it to the game, however, you can catch all the action on LUTV, the GLVC digital network, and also on 89.1 The Wood with myself, Jack, and Dominic Hosher. Coach, can't thank you enough for another good show. Appreciate your time as always, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.